Experience is earned through combat and surviving missions. XP is spent on special pilot abilities found on the table to follow. There are only 3 ways for a warrior to gain experience: killing a unit, destroying the head or a pilot kill, and surviving the battle. Dispossessed warriors are those who are not killed during combat, but their unit that they were piloting is destroyed. Mechs will spend XP according to the table. Vehicles will spend XP at half, rounded up. So if something costs 5 for a mech warrior, it costs 3 for a vehicle, because vehicles operate in crews and divide up all of their responsibilities. Battle armor will spend XP equal to their level of the ability from kills. They do not gain the survival XP at the end of a mission. Instead, battle armor can improve their skill if they survive. Special pilot abilities influence how well warriors perform in combat. Skills also affect the battle value of units. Gunnery and piloting must stay within 1 step of each other. This is known as the 1-step rule. Gunnery 2, piloting 3 follows this rule. Gunnery 3, piloting 5 does not follow the rule. Some abilities are linked to gunnery. They're found on the left and in this reddish color. Some are linked to piloting. They're found here in the middle in this bluish color. Some abilities are not tied to either gunnery or piloting, and there is no limit to how many of these you can have. So if the ability is in purple, you don't have to worry about what your gunnery or piloting skill is. If the ability is over here on the left in this reddish color, and you have gunnery skill 4, you can only have 1 of these skills. If your piloting skill is 4, you can have 2 piloting abilities. Piloting abilities are easier to pick up than gunnery abilities. Some abilities scale or improve from one iteration to the next, as if climbing a skill tree. These are found at the bottom of each column. Hopping jack to jumping jack is an example of this. Maneuvering ace to terrain master is another. And cluster hitter has 2 options: cluster master or sandblaster. These skills have a reduced cost to upgrade from the previous iteration. When upgrading, this previous skill is replaced by the upgrade. So if you have hopping jack, you trade it for jumping jack. If you have maneuvering ace, you trade it for terrain master. If you have cluster hitter, you trade it for either cluster master or sandblaster. Each time a warrior spends experience, they may choose to drop 1 of their SPAs, if it is a level 1 SPA. If they do this, they can regain the XP spent on that one ability. These abilities take less time to develop and can be replaced easily. Let's take a look at how our 3 example players put together their formations. First we have Smoke Jaguar. They have a Warhawk C, Direwolf A, Evan Jaguar A, Evan Jaguar B, Mistlink C. The player decided to spend 12 of their 13 points, and they have a gunnery bump for 5 and gunnery specialization energy for 7. So 5 plus 7, that makes 12. Their veteran, out of their 13 points, only spent 5. They're going to sit on 8 points, and they only increased their gunnery. So they have spent 5, they've got 8 sitting in the bank. There's plenty of things they could do. They chose not to. Maybe they're trying to save up for sniper or weapon specialization or something similar. Both of their mech warriors decided to spend points on Some Like It Hot. And yes, you can use abbreviations in this block because at some point you're going to need to, or you'll need to make this bigger, which is fine. But both of these players decided to run Some Like It Hot because they're probably going to run both of these machines rather warm. Both the Evan Jaguar A and the Evan Jaguar B can run into some heat issues. The Mistlink C decided not to spend any of their points and just stayed at a 4-4 pilot, gunnery, and keep 3 points in the bank. The only discount this star would be afforded is potentially a full star. If they actually field all 5 members of their star, the full star cost 14,139. Let's take a look at our Ghost Bear player. They have an Executioner D, keeping it as a 4-4. Their veteran battle armor point bumped the piloting skill or the anti-mech ability. because they had a free bump. They siphoned 1 point out of the 13 possible for this point because this point is a mech warrior point. Sorry, a Nova point, and the Omni they're tied to is a mech warrior. And they opted for Natural Aptitude Gunnery, spending 11 of their 12 points. Natural Aptitude Gunnery is a fantastic ability, but it's a bit expensive. The Veteran Battle Armor point took Human TRO, which is a fantastic way to spend that 1 point they have. The Omni-Mech Veteran took Medium Range Master, pretty good way to go in that Mad Dog Prime. And that may stack with the quirks on the Mad Dog, I do not recall. But they gave a heavier portion to their Veteran Battle Armor point, but they also chose to spend that skill bump in Gunnery instead of the Piloting or Anti-Mech ability, which will again help with the SPA they chose, which is Sniper. But you'll notice there's a big difference between 485 and 590, or the other battle armor point that is identically kitted out, so that 1 point of Gunnery costs them almost 100 points. The Timberwolf C is a regular mech pilot. They're staying at 4-4. They decided to go with Some Like It Hot because that Timberwolf C can get a little warm, but not overly. The Viper decided to increase their piloting ability because if the Viper falls down, pretty good chance that it's gonna be dead because its armor's fairly thin. The battle armor point doesn't have anything to spend on either of these battle armor points or this one here, so they're just gonna sit there. And the Battle Cobra decided to bank its XP. This formation is a Nova, so a couple different things apply. If they decide to field everybody, they get the 500 points from being a full star or a full formation, plus 300 points for each Nova point, and there's 5, so 300 times 5 is 15, but they don't get anything from the individual battle armor. So their total discount is 2,000, which means these 5 Omni-Mechs and their attached battle armor come in a bit cheaper than what the Smoke Jaguars come in at. Now this is a bit appropriate because the Smoke Jaguars are starting at -9 on the Glory chart and the Ghost Bears coming in at 8 instead. Now let's take a look at our Hell's Horses player. We've got a Stormcrow, a Nova S, Guillotine 2C, and 2 Hispanas. One of them is a C, one of them is a Prime, but they chose to have the vehicle crew come in at Veteran status. Had they not come in at a Veteran status, they would have 0 XP because vehicles do not start with any XP. Mech Warriors do because they have clan pilot training. So the Stormcrow decided to take a gunnery bump and a piloting bump, spending 8 points between these two skills, and they bumped Edge. Edge is one of those abilities that is not tied to gunnery or piloting and is a little bit special. The first point is going to cost 1, the second point costs 3, third point costs 7, fourth point costs 11, and every point beyond the fourth will cost 11. Here is our Stormcrow, so 5 points for gunnery, 3 points for piloting, that brings us to 8, and 8 plus 3 more for that additional point of edge brings us to 11 points spent. Medium Range Master was a 7-point SPA combined with that piloting bump, which made 10. The Nova A has Some Like It Hot, decided not to change the gunnery and piloting, keeps the cost down because it's already an expensive unit. The Nova S is a bit cheaper and is probably going to spend some more time jumping, and again, it is going to have a hard time if it can't stay upright. The Guillotine 2C, it also has the same issue, but both the Nova S and the Guillotine 2C bring pulse lasers to help make up for this 4-skill gunnery. The Espana is a little bit cheaper to increase these gunnery points, so instead of spending 5, they spend 3 because it's a vehicle and they specialize and can divide up their responsibilities. The Hispana Prime had enough points to go in on Rangemaster Long because Rangemaster Long is a 7-point SPA. Tanks only spend half, so they have to spend 4 on that ability, and they spend 3 on gunnery, so 3 plus 4 makes 7. That's how we get to its XP total, and then this one only spent it on the gunnery. So not a bad choice for a vehicle crew. And now we get down to here. If they field everybody, then they get the 500 points for the full star, plus 2,000 points for the matched ground vehicle. And they come in at 12,481. Smoke Jaguar player comes in at the highest bid, assuming they bring everybody, and our Ghost Bear comes in at the lowest bid, assuming they bring everybody. And then our Hell's Horses player falls in the middle because these tanks are a bit expensive. That is how you spend XP and get SPAs and gunnery and piloting sorted out for your beginning star. In a follow-up video, I will show you how to go from your first star to your second star, along with how to make changes in your roster as the campaign progresses.